So, really delighted to have you both join me today. Today I'm joined by Aidan Burns and Laura Perry from PlayBoard NI, and we'll be discussing the importance of play as we're in summer now, and many parents are starting to run out of ideas, as we all kind of do at this stage in the July. So, tell us a little bit about what you both do at PlayBoard NI. I'm sure lots of parents listening to you both talk about that this in the minute are a bit like, wow, I didn't know that, Lego was so such an integral part of life. But I think like lots of things with children, their development, it sometimes is the small things that actually are do end up being the most important in terms of like how they progress into teenagehood and into adulthood. So on the back of that, how can parents encourage positive play experiences?
What we would like Ian was saying there, we're a really big advocate for just giving children the time, space, and permission to play, or we kind of abbreviated that to TSP, or wee teaspoon of play as well. Yeah, so we've been having a wee bit of fun with that acronym lately and using it with Mary Poppins, and a teaspoon of play will help the stress levels go down, basically. So yeah, that's just something we've been working on at the minute. But yeah, so whenever we're giving children we just need to give children the time to play first of all. So prioritizing, making play a priority. Maybe not so much focusing on like the adult-led agenda.
Yeah.
Well, we have to go to Tesco's, we have to do homework even before we play. As we just talked about, play is so important, and so many skills are promoted through play that we're saying no, we have to make that a priority now. So give children, even if it is an hour, but a good quality hour of play every single day, and we would really push that be outdoor play if possible as well. And everybody doesn't have a garden, unfortunately, but bring the outside indoors if you can, sorry. Through just even if you've got a tough tray, or like or a tray you'd serve food on, or a basin, bring the soil or sand into that, or even just like twigs and leaves and anything you'd basically find outside, and that just gives children the opportunity to do that indoors as well. So yeah, giving them that time, giving the space as well, the space to play within your house, and give them the right resources. So we're not advocating here for big expensive toys or lots of expensive technology. We're advocating here for what we would call loose parts. So basically the most weird and wonderful free and found objects you'd find anywhere, whether it's outdoors or inside, and they basically become the child's play prop. And that, because of their lovely open-ended nature, these items become whatever the child wants them to be, with just a wee bit of a sprinkle of imagination and creativity. So quite literally they extend the child's play and just make it more fun and inviting. And then lastly, we have the permission side of it as well. So that's basically just saying, well, we're all very good as parents or as adults saying, go and play there. But as soon as it gets too noisy, that's too loud. Turn it down a wee bit there. Yes, exactly. Or if it gets too messy, no, let's put the paints or whatever it is away. All the Lego scattered everywhere. No, we can't have that. Or if things get too risky, oh, that's too dangerous, you can't be doing that. So although we're saying go and play, we're not really giving that message out. So yeah, we're just saying like give children proper permission to be messy, to be loud, and to take risks as well, because there's just so many benefits from that.
It leads back to, I was just going to say, Colin, it leads back to the coffee morning we done with you guys a few weeks ago, and the playing memories. It's something we do with parents as well. So if you're struggling to look for positive play experiences, what you can do with the kids, we ask parents, think about your own playing memories. What did you enjoy doing when you were a kid? And then getting them to compare their play to what children's play is today. Ask yourself who had the better play experience. Like, we have delivered sessions to parents, and I don't think anyone has said that their kids' play is better than theirs was.
Yeah.
So again, for me, it's taken that wee bit of full, what did I enjoy? What did I do? Let's see how my kids enjoy this. And again, generally speaking, most of us when we were younger, we're outside playing. So again, it's outdoor play. Big advocates for outdoor play. Get them outside, and I suppose like society nowadays, we sort of live in a risk averse society, where we think of the risks before we think of the benefits. And something that we promote a lot at PlayBoard is we think benefit over risk. So we do. Again, it comes back to that. If we don't let children take the opportunity to test their boundaries, test their limits, to know what they're actually capable of. If we keep encouraging them to think of the risks before they ever sort of try things out and learn what they're actually capable of, then you're never going to be able to push on and fully develop. And so again, for parents, we would sort of advocate, yes, there is going to be risks with everything, but the benefits of meaningful outdoor play will far outweigh the risks. So think benefit over risks.
Absolutely. And I'm sure you're kind of talking about risk in terms of play or risky play and like unstructured play. Like we're going to talk further on that just after this, but as you say, children need to be able to test their own boundaries to learn what they're capable of and possibly what they'll be capable of in the future. Like I guess there's a level of like confidence building there, and also independence. Like children have to feel like they can function without you there. They need to be able to go out into the world as teenagers, as adults, and you can't always be there to hold their hand for most of their lives. You won't be.
And that's exactly it, Catherine. There will, you create again, we use this analogy, you create that bubble for your child. It's nice and safe and risk and it's manageable in there. Eventually they're going to have to step out of that. And if they're not prepared and they don't know how to manage risk and assess risk and move forward for themselves, then that's when they are going to be at more risk of serious harm. It goes back to play being that safe environment where they can manage and assess that risk. So again, give them the opportunity to do that and make sure they develop all these life skills that they can take forward with them. And as you say, when they go into their teenage years, that they're not stepping out of this bubble, having never experienced risk before, because again, that's when serious risk or serious harm can occur.
Yeah, and even just social risks as well. We always associate risk with jumping off a high tree or climbing over that wall and things like that. The physical risk, which obviously there's loads of benefits to that, but there's social risks as well. Like even just learning how to make a friend on your own without your parent being there, or do you want to play with my wee girl or my wee boy, or what if in the school playground you see another child being bullied? That's a risk that you might take to kind of way to go and maybe tell a teacher. That's a huge social risk, because you might then be bullied, or someone might say, oh, well, a tout or things like that. But equally, that child also might go and confront the bully themselves, which again is another social risk. And the more they practice these skills now in childhood, the better they will be at all those type of skills later as an adult, like we're talking about, building all those like conflict resolution and I suppose like building like empathy as well, like for others through all those social risks.
It's through play that children actually learn. I heard a great quote before, is that children learn how to learn through play. So essentially they have to understand how to actually learn things for themselves. Again, play is the mechanism for children and young people, how they actually do that.
Play or whatever. A lot of it comes back to what you experienced as a child, and the memory, the play memories that we did as a group. I found that really invigorating, just to think about how I played as a child. And I think lots of parents that are listening right now can probably really empathize with that and think like, oh, I went out, with the big group of people that lived around the corner from me, and we maybe climbed trees, or we went apple picking, or depending on whatever kind of area you lived in. And a lot of that was very, very open. So that kind of leads me into what is unstructured free play. I hear a lot of practitioners that prefer to play talk about this, and why is free play so important for children to engage in?
Yeah. So free play basically is when the children choose when to play, what to play, how they want to do it, and when they want to stop as well. We're all very good as adults kind of stepping in and saying, that's enough now, we have to move on to all those other things we were talking about earlier, like the homework, where they have to go to Tesco's. But essentially free play isn't like the children choosing, okay, right, that's me done now as well. And they're choosing what they want to do with their own interests in mind and with their own skills and abilities in mind as well. And it sounds so cheesy, but whenever children play freely, that's really where the magic happens. Because this is where the kids do discover their own interests and learn new skills, and maybe even discover their own wee hidden talents that they didn't kind of know they had. And again, it's if a child has a bad day, for whatever reason, maybe it's a bad day in school, or maybe something's happened with a wee fallout with a friend, they come home and they play, and that's their stress relief. As adults, we'll all have our own wee coping mechanisms. For me, I'll go home and I'll have a bath or something like that. But for kids, they get down to playing, and it's playing freely without an adult involved that allows a child to do that. That's where they get the real therapeutic benefit from that. And for anybody as well who's really, really interested like in brain development, or maybe does particularly value education over play, which is obviously that education's brilliant too. But whenever a child plays freely, that actually makes their brains go so much larger. All these wee neural pathways basically start connecting, and that gives the child more capacity to learn, whether that is through play or whether they take that into school. There's that greater capacity to learn and to store any information as well.
Okay.
So free play is great.
Yeah. As Laura's saying, like, free play is that concept of when children, they control and they choose when to play, what to play, how to play, when to stop playing. And we would sort of advocate as well, there's only probably a few times when parents or adults should be getting involved in children's free play. So the first one is if invited into that child. So if the child wants you to play with them, absolutely. If potentially you see an opportunity to extend that child's play on to make sure that the play doesn't stop, then yes, you can intervene to do that. Or the third one then is if there's serious risk of sort of harm or injury, then yes, you would get involved and you would obviously minimize that risk. But as Laura says, like, free play is where the magic happens for children and young people. Again, if you link it back to our play memories, essentially what we done was free play. Generally speaking, adults probably weren't present when we were playing. I know they definitely weren't present for a lot of mine. It's sort of me and my mates just out doing what we wanted to do. Again, it comes down to us choosing when to play, what to play, how to play, and essentially when to sort of stop playing.
I actually read there was like an article in the Guardian recently that was talking about play and about how dramatic the increase is in the age in which parents now let their children go out to play unsupervised. I thought that was really, really interesting, and maybe like kind of a sign of times in the kind of world we live in.
Yeah,
absolutely. And there's another research paper as well states that when like we were 9 years old, our parents would let us run a certain distance from the house. Nowadays, that child needs to be 11. So they travel the same distance away. So it's you've essentially 2 years there, in space of not that long, 10, 15 years, I suppose. So, yeah.
At the same time, like there's no doubt that there are legitimate worries for parents. Like it's completely understandable why parents are maybe sometimes hesitant to let their child take those steps out further than they've went before, or to let them kind of go explore, go call for their friend around the corner, cross the road by themselves to go call for their friend. But all of these things, like we did them. I definitely did.
All in children's abductions. All it literally is that over the past, maybe even go back as far as 10 years, look at this technology boom where now we are getting the news on a regular basis, and there's all these articles and things like that, and even on social media, and that's all that stems from. There actually isn't any increase in actual childhood abductions in itself, but then as well we're seeing a decrease in green spaces because all these new builds are popping up. So there's nowhere, I can't speak for every community, but there's maybe a decrease in the green spaces or play parks for children to play where they're deemed as safe.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Technology is massive as well, because the increase in technology and the new iPads and iPhones and everything else coming out, it's having a massive effect on play, and especially outdoor play as well. And maybe 15, 20 years ago. Everyone seems to be in a bit of a rush. So
very interesting to listen, as you said, statistics, like the crime rates aren't going up. It is being more a societal perception that that is maybe doing more harm than good.
Well, just as you mentioned there about the sort of the stats and stuff, I've done some research recently on screen time for children and young people. So I sort of just know them. So I'll give you what they are. So preschoolers actually average 4 hours a day on a screen. So 5 to 6 year olds average 5 hours a day on a screen. 6 to 15-year-olds average 6.5 hours a day on a screen. Teenage boys are actually the worst offenders. They average 8 hours a day on a screen, looking at a screen between school or home or whatever else it may be. So you do the math, that you add that up. That equates actually to 90 days or 3 months out of a teenage boy's full year that they're looking at a screen. So when you talk about stats and reasons about decline in play and different things, then there's like screen time is absolutely huge.
And then if you think like, what the comparison is to the amount of time that children spend outside playing?
Yeah, absolutely, we do. Again, it's something we push really, really hard. Children spend less than 60 minutes a day outside. The percentage of children actually means, so the World Health Organization, they advocate for 60 minutes physical activity. It's called MVP, so it's moderate to vigorous physical activity a day. In Northern Ireland, we're sitting at 11%. So we are, and that's from 10 to 18-year-olds.
That is scary. Those are those are stark.
Yeah.
Stark.
They are as well, and we do sort of we look at the likes of childhood obesity in Northern Ireland. There's it was 25%. It's actually raised now, so it's over 1 in 4 children and young people in Northern Ireland are actually classified as obese. And if you're obese or overweight as a child, you're as likely to be overweight or obese as an adult as well. And again, that's two things we advocate very heavily with parents is to try and limit screen time and outdoor play. Again, two of the factors of if we can limit screen time and get outdoor play, it's going to help with things like childhood obesity and different things like that as well. So but it is crazy. Some seriously scary stats coming out like.
Absolutely, and I think at the same time there's so many pressures on parents now. There's so many conflicting. There's also lots of conflicting information. It can be really difficult for parents to know what the right avenue is, and see at the same time, like sometimes you just can't fit an hour outdoors with them into your day, and that's okay. You don't have to be perfect all the time because none of us are.
No.
But just being mindful, like parents being mindful of these statistics and thinking, how can I get them out more?
A healthy, balanced diet of play opportunities. So we're not saying here, ban technology, because let's face it, above anything else, kids enjoy them, and there is obviously there's benefits to that. We're obviously pushing for outdoor play because that's what we're seeing the decrease in. Yes. But what we're saying overall is about getting that healthy, balanced diet, same way you would with your We Eat Well plate. If you're thinking about like food and stuff like that, just think about that play in the same way. So, okay, we've already had some screen time today. Now it's time to remove that and we'll maybe go outside for a while. Or if we know that after school every day, the whole family has been a bit tired, the same way I would. And if I come home from work, I struggle to get out with my wee daughter.
Yeah.
So at the weekend, then I'm going, okay, right, healthy, balanced diet. Now I need to kind of get some like outdoor play in here. So maybe we'll just take a walk to the park, or we'll go on a wee scavenger hunt, or maybe even if it's now wet and miserable day, we don't want to go out, I'll just make sure that there's a good supply of loose parts and toys or arts and craft materials sitting available for her in the house where she can still engage in that really, really good play with or without me. And it's all come back to that healthy, balanced diet. I think that's a nice way to remember that, because we're all used to Eat Well play it in school.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a good lead on to what my final question is for the both of you, which was off the back of all the information that you've given us, what tips and tricks then do you have for parents listening today to help them initiate play and to just allow more opportunities for that to happen?
For me, get back to basics. Like Aidan has said, think about your own play. What did you enjoy? That, like, even just we did this before in the coffee morning, and the smile on everybody's face is just thinking about our own play. And oh my goodness, remember that game, wasn't that brilliant? Think about those type of things, and then suggest them to your child. Like, I can't remember the last time I saw a child in the street playing Kirby or Cribby, whatever you prefer. Like, so if you think, well, I enjoyed that whenever I was a child, I'm going to go teach my child that now.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's a good, valuable, even like a half an hour of physical play with your child outside, and then something that they can later go on to play freely with their friends as well, and they can teach their friends. Like, just don't complicate it. Get back to basic. Think about your own play memories. Think about what you enjoyed. Yeah, just and see with resources as well. Like we've just said, they don't have to be expensive. Go into your kitchen cupboard, put out the pots and pans, anything you're not afraid to get destroyed, and let your kids work away. Good play doesn't have to cost a fortune either.
Yep, your recycling bin. Go to your recycling bin. Yes. see loose parts plays, anything you can basically find in your recycling bin, and just let them go. Like we were delivering a play session not that long ago with loose parts play, and this week I created an airport.
Oh really?
He had the traffic control tower lorry, the runway, plane, all out of loose parts, and it's unbelievable. Creativity, development, imagination, just unbelievable. Like again, look, just some sort of tips and stuff is there's actually an initiative running this summer, and it was developed by Play First UK in conjunction with the Four Nations Play Forum, which is ourselves and PlayBoard, Play Wales, Play Scotland, and Play England. Basically all calling for what's known now as a summer of play for children and young people. Again, it's due to them having suffered so much because of the pandemic. Again, if they have a website which is summerofplay.co.uk where you can go on and get more details. They're actually asking people to sign a pledge to say that they will get their kids out and play more. There would be good resources and ideas on that website, and it all runs into the 4th of August this year, which is National Play Day. You have our own website for sort of resources and ideas and tips and tricks on what you can do with children and young people. So that's playboard.org. Or you also social media. We have our own social media, Twitter accounts, Facebook. Again, you also have the likes of Play Wales, Play Scotland, Play England, where they've all free memberships. You can go on and sign up. Again, our website, if you go to playboard.org, there is a free membership there where you just basically click the button, sign up, and then right beside that there's a resource tab. You just click the resources, and there's any amount of resources there that will give you great ideas that you can do with children. As Laura says, there's things on scavenger hunts and all the loads and loads of stuff that we would have done in the coffee morning as well.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of stuff there. So again, that's what we're really advocating. But as Laura says, loose parts play, playing outdoors, and really getting back to basics, thinking about what you enjoyed as a parent, what you enjoyed as a child, what your play was like, and then trying to sort of marry your child's play up with that as best as possible. But look, as long as they're having fun, that's the main thing. Children, they play because it's fun. They have that innate ability, and they just want to play. It's in them. But as long as they're having fun, then that's when they're going to develop. But giving them the time, the space, permission, you'll be really surprised at what your children and young people can make. It'll be fast. It's a fascinating thing to watch.
And don't worry about your children getting bored either. I think that's like a wee fear we all have as parents. So those dreaded words, I'm bored. Boredom is where the children learn to be creative, and where the best type of play is actually stimulated from boredom as well. So just, again, time, space, permission, just give them those 3 factors and they will not be bored for long.
So don't be scared of boredom.
Don't be scared of boredom. Exactly. And I do think we
are very scared of boredom as adults. Yeah.
I have our kids stay with
very guilty of it myself. Can't sit for 5 moments just in my own company. We live in such a fast society that we are almost can't let our children sit with themselves, but it is a good skill to learn. It is something that you have to be able to do. So
no, absolutely, and see from from the technology, we're all living in this kind of instant gratification type of society, aren't we? Where we've only to click on a different app, boredom cured. Or if or things are happening really, really fast. Do you know what I mean? On these games where we don't have time to kind of be bored or waiting or anything like that. But again, it's just kind of not putting on a technology ban, but just breaking away from it a wee bit so the kids can learn that boredom is okay, and that we do just kind of need, that's part of problem solving, isn't it? Just kind of tackling that boredom and just finding your own wee skill set and your own interest to secure that boredom, basically. And like you said, we're all bad for that as adults too.
I think as well, one of the things we advocate as well, Catherine, is when we do work with parents is about trying to be your child's play champion as well. And when you're talking about being a play champion, you're talking about things like, leading by example, prioritizing time for play, especially outdoor play, things like, getting to know your neighborhood, as Laura sort of mentioned earlier, where the green spaces are, where the playgrounds are, encourage others to play, again, trying to limit screen times. We sort of talk about trying to sort of keep worries in perspective and understanding that, the benefits of play will outweigh the risks, and one of the biggest things we advocate is that you take time out and actually get involved in play yourself with your kid as well. Play lays all the foundations for children to build and grow up and build and develop all these life skills. So again, it's giving them access to that quality play and really get involved yourself is probably one of the key messages that we tell parents all the time. Just get involved, have fun.
Yeah, brilliant. Guys, thanks so very much for that. That was fantastic. I'm sure everyone listening will feel much more equipped to look at play in the manner in which it should be treated, which is really with great respect. As you say, play is a serious business. And parents, we could just spend a bit more time in recognizing that, and then allowing our kids to go off and do what they do best, which is play by themselves and just branch out into their own imaginations and creativity.
Yeah, and that's what it is. Just as you're talking there, reminding me of a wee quote one of our colleagues says all the time, is that we as adults, we aren't the experts in play. The kids are. Children are experts in play. That's what they do. So let them do it. Let them at it.
Brilliant. Look, thank you both so much for joining me. That was fantastic. What I will also be doing is I'll link under our podcast, I'll link to your website so the parents are able to find it. And I'll also link to the Summer of Play initiative as well. Because lots of parents listening would be interested in having we look at that. So thanks again very much for joining me today. And we'll maybe have you on again for another wee chat at some other point in the future. You never know.
Yes, not a problem at all. Thanks very much.
Appreciate it.